Okay. All right, so what you're looking at is our demo environment. What that means is that there may be something that's a little off here and there. For the most part, it should look exactly the same as the production environment, which is what you all are in and what you will see when you log in. Many of you, this might be your first time, or if you've already logged in, welcome. I'm glad that you're joining. Please ask all the questions. I think Morgan made a comment about that in the chat, but please feel free to interrupt me, Morgan, and audience. I am happy to take your questions and stop in the middle of what it is that I'm doing. Okay, so this is the home screen. I will note a couple of things whilst here. Setting and resources are exactly what you would expect them to be. You can edit, your personal information in here, reset a password. Resources will actually bridge out to our agent resources site that Morgan and team have done a fantastic job of making sure that you've got tons of stuff for you and your insured. So take a look at that at your convenience. Quotes and policies are going to be pretty obvious as well. Any quotes that you have started but have not yet completed, as in bound. Now, they may be on your end, it may be on our end. I'll get into that a little bit, but then all bound policies. So since this will be an easier one to go through really quickly, I'll show you bound policies. We'll just grab the top one here. And what I want to show you in particular is that, yes, you can get in and see all of this individual information about the risk that you already bound. You can print off the policy pages, all of that with the download policy. But you can also come in here and start the service process as well. You can request an endorsement, file claims. All of that we try to build into the app for you, and we're going to continue to build more of that into the app as well. So if you have any suggestions around there, like, hey, this is something I've seen some other programs do, this is something that I would love it if you all did, then please give us a shout. Our engineers are some of the best I've ever worked with, and they will do a great job of getting this looking as perfect as possible. But it's already in a fantastic state where you can do a lot of that self-service stuff. So I wanted to point that out to you. We also have this chat feature, which is manned 8 to 8 Eastern time. So in other words, until close of business on Pacific time as well at 5 p.m. Pacific. And honestly, most of the time, you'll wind up getting me. We have a number of underwriters who run backup for me as well. But we are always on it and always available to chat with you no matter what it is that you need. So please use that. You will be connected with a human as long as it's within that 8 to 8 time period. Otherwise, you'll just get a note that says we'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, so let's hop into the meat of this, the quotes, right? You can see there's a number of different statuses here about where all the different quotes are at that we've created in this demo environment. Expired obviously has something to do with the fact that, the date is passed. So you would have to get in and redo those. But if it's draft, that means that it's not at a point where it's been referred yet. You haven't sent it over to underwriting, or obviously it hasn't gone straight through and bound yet, because that is possible with the system as well. It's kind of this hybrid that we've built between InsurTech, where you can go through and bind an entire policy without ever speaking to anyone if you choose not to. We're always there if you'd like. But we actually have an incredibly flexible system that our engineers have built where underwriters can allow credits, they can talk to you about risk specifics and make exceptions, that sort of thing. We'll get into that a little bit more. So what we'll do is we'll look at one that is the status of bindable right now, just so that I can kind of walk you through it. I would start you with a brand new one, but it's easier if I just, instead of me talking and trying to click buttons at the same time, this would take much longer. I'll just go through and show you one that's already filled out. What you are missing, yeah, please.
I'm just gonna highlight some questions that folks have put in the chat, and I'm
Okay.
gonna just so that you know what to address when you're going through. So just so everyone knows, we're gonna go through a quote right now. So I would just keep an ear out for the questions that you've had, and again, keep them coming in the chat. We love to know what you want us to highlight, and I'll make sure to flag Jason once he gets to that part. But so far we've had questions about restrictions for accounts with a lapse in coverage, inspections, building coverage on older buildings, and standalone liquor liability. So
Gotcha.
I'll try to flag that for you once you get to this section, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that we've got some questions regarding
Yeah, and I can knock some of those out right out of the gate too. So there's no concern. Well, I shouldn't say there's no concern. It is not an automatic decline because there's been a lapse in coverage. We would ask that you know, notify the insured or the agent, or let me try this the third time, notify the underwriter and have a conversation with them about their reason for it. It is not just an automatic, no, we won't write that. So I'm trying to remember some of the other questions that you had. Standalone liquor liability at this time, we do not offer it as a standalone. Although when we get to that, you'll see that we actually have a very robust liquor liability product to go along with the business. We just don't have it as a standalone coverage currently. And then what were the other two, Morgan? I'm sorry.
How quickly will there be an inspection once the policy is bound?
Okay, so it kind of just depends on how quickly it can get ordered and sent out. We have a third party that we work with, and we don't inspect every single risk. That's kind of between the underwriter and the agent to discuss. The underwriter will let you know when we're going to send an inspection out. Obviously, the insured will be notified as well. But you know, we send them out pretty quickly after the bind if that's the intent, so that we're still within that window that if anything comes up that is you know, against what it is that we thought it was, we have an opportunity to still kind of act on it. But they are sent out relatively quickly, and we don't send them out on every case. It's just on certain cases that it seems like a good idea.
And I'll also just highlight that Jason will also show you towards the end of the quote. We've got some pretty cool features put together by our underwriting and technology team, where if you supply certain information to our underwriting team, it could get you a pretty significant discount in premium and also eliminate, at most cases, eliminate or extremely reduce the need for an inspection. So everyone wins.
Yeah, awesome. All right, cool. I am gonna get fired on this. Are you good, Morgan? Did you have another one?
I think you covered it. You said, oh, will we write building coverage on an older building? I don't think you addressed that.
Okay. So again, that's kind of a flexible point. You'll have to forgive me. I don't remember the underwriting requirement off the top of my head, as to what exactly the age is that we want to have underwriter review on it. It'll flag in the system, if it's old enough that that's the case. But like I mentioned earlier, everything is still a conversation. Could that be a reason that a risk might be declined? Sure. But in all reality, like it's going to be a factor that you work with an underwriter, just like you would a traditional underwriter, who can take that into consideration and can talk to you about the benefits or reasons for possibly declining it. But I would say just because a building is a bit older does not mean that we're going to automatically decline it by any stretch of the means. It just might be flagged for referral is really what it comes down to. Okay. All right. So the one screen that it is that you're missing, thank you for that, by the way, Morgan. Great questions. Keep them coming, y'all. So the one screen that it is that you're missing because I'm doing it this way is just the demographic screen where you put in, and I might as well show you that. We'll start a new quote. You're going to put in the insured name, their DBA, contact first and last name, email, phone number, all of this stuff. The one thing to note here is that once this is entered, it cannot be changed, right? So that's why you didn't see that when I was going back into the quote. This tab over here completely changes. So make sure you're double checking this as you go through. I guess technically we can change it. It just requires the tech team to get into the database in the background, do all kinds of fixing and stuff. And we really try to only do that in cases where you've gone through this whole quote process. You don't want to have to requote everything. And we do that as a favor to our agents. But just know as you're going through the system, make sure that you get everything correct. Particularly this contact email will be important because that will be how we communicate with both you and the insured. We will never just reach out to your insured without you as well. But any of those legal notices that we have to send, that's how it is that we'll be doing it. So please don't use your own email address. Don't use none@none.com. We need this for a legal requirement, but you will always be aware of when we're contacting the insured too. Okay, so all that said, just make sure you get this right first time through, double check it. Worst case scenario, you just make a new quote if something's wrong with it. That's not a problem. Okay, so let's get back into this one that's bindable so I can just kind of walk you through it. All right, so the underwriting information. We have all these different classes available for restaurants only at this time. Obviously, we only write restaurants, but there are many different types of restaurants out there. So keep in mind that anything wine bars and above is within our appetite. Bars and taverns and below is very likely not, or definitely not. We don't have the proper coverage for mobile food vendors, food trucks, bars and taverns. You'll see with our liquor liability, we can write up to 65%. I'll kind of get into the specifics of what makes it a bar versus like, Jason's Bar and Grill, which is something we might write. Okay. So just keep in mind wine bars and everything up is something that we will work with. Commercial cooking is a good thing to point out. What that definition is, we use the NFPA for just about everything, which you're insured and you likely as well are very familiar with. It's restaurant standards within the United States. And if it's commercial cooking, it's grease-laden vapors, right? So you're looking at, fatty meats, fryers, that kind of thing is what makes it commercial cooking. Grease-laden vapors. All right. So does the applicant operate multiple locations? We can, our appetite is up to 5 locations. However, we ask that you say that we can only do 1 location per policy. So whereas we would put them all on separate policies, we still ask that you say that they operate multiple, because then we give you this little note that says, I understand that the limit of coverage to designated premises will be put on the policy, right? We just want to make sure that you're aware of that each policy will be specific to that location. Now, if you have more than 5 locations, please reach out about that. It's not a hard decline. It's just going to require some special underwriter review if that's the case. But it is outside of appetite technically. All right. File claims in the last 3 years. This is all pretty straightforward. Just fill it out as you go through. Has a business been convicted of any of these things? Again, pretty straightforward, standard stuff you're used to being asked. Does the establishment have stairs? This is a series of different questions you'll see as we go throughout the thing. Whereas yes or no isn't an issue for referral or declination. We just want to make sure that we're setting those guidelines out ahead of time, that if there are stairs, we want you to agree that there is adequate illumination, slip resistant surfaces, that sort of thing, right? So check all those out as you go through them. Does the establishment offer any of the below? Most of these are going to be a decline. There are some of these that we do ask that you still reach out to us if there's an issue, like for instance, alcoholic drink specials under $4. There still could be a perfectly great establishment that we want to write that sells a Bud Light at $3 on their happy hour, right? So talk to us about that if that's the case, but generally speaking, those are the kind that will separate out a bar versus restaurant, which is what I referred to earlier, right?
Hey,
So things
Jason.
like, yes, please.
So we had someone ask about, does having a cash station, I'm assuming that means ATM, automatically make the risk ineligible? If so, why? So we're in that section. So I just wanted to flag that for you if you wanted to address it.
Absolutely. Thank you. So it does automatically make it ineligible because we don't want to write cash only establishments. And that will be something that you see as we progress through this here shortly. However, if it is not a cash only establishment and they have an ATM, we still want you to mark that it's an ATM and then reach out to us and let us know like, hey, this got declined because of an ATM, but it is not a cash only establishment, right? So keep that in mind. It's another one of those ones that's kind of like the $3 Bud Light specials. Like it's generally speaking, not within our appetite, but there are some, spots here and there that it might make sense for us to still take a look at the risk and work on it with you. But if they're serving alcohol after midnight, if they're open between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m., it's probably going to be a bar instead of a restaurant. So it's those sort of things. All right. Any questions about those, by all means, ask now, reach out with the chat as well. We're all here and happy to talk about them. Playground is similar to the stairs. It just asks you these series of questions. Does the insured have any of the following exposures? Again, they just want you to check on this to make sure that these aren't reasons to decline the risk. What type of fire alarm is located at the premises, and burglar alarm, security cameras? These are not declination, although they are rating influenced questions, right? So make sure that you answer them fully accurately, but they will affect the rating based on and they could result in a declination if there are other multiple factors that come into it, but they're not automatically declinations in and of themselves.
Jason, I'm
Yes,
going to interrupt
please.
you
No,
another
it's
time.
okay. By all
So
means.
just had another question regarding happy hour. So I was wondering if you would be able to just repeat kind of what you said earlier. They asked, so if a restaurant that had a happy hour and drinks, that's a decline, even though it's a sit down casual dining.
Not necessarily, right? If they have an happy hour after 8 p.m. And if for some reason you think that there is like this is still well within what Rainbow's appetite would be, and you want to talk to us about it, that's kind of what's great about our program is that we'll still have a conversation. But in order to not like waste your time, just know that these are our general guidelines. If it's on the border and they have a happy hour after 8 p.m., it's probably going to be a decline, honestly. But if everything else checks all of the great boxes and they're a fantastic one, they just happen to do something out of the normal, like at a happy hour after 8, but they still close before midnight, those sort of things. Let us know. We would still love to look at that with you. But generally speaking, if you click one of these, it is going to be a decline, but you will still have a chance to refer it as well. So be accurate as you do this. That does not mean that your quote's going to disappear. You'll still get a chance to send it over to us. All right. 60 fat fryers. This is we have yet to see any establishments that actually have more than that. If they do, let us know if it's an issue. Responsible for the parking lot is just making sure that we're getting the proper rating for that. These fuel types, these cooking fuel types, these are not declinations. We want to make sure that again they're following the NFPA's guidelines on how often their hoods should be cleaned, right? So if they have solid fuel, wok, charbroiling, that requires more frequent cleaning. However, we want to make sure that they're at least doing quarterly cleaning if it's a wok, and there are several other stages of that, right? So we want to make sure that the insured is following the NFPA guidelines, which they should be if they're in operation. That's not an issue, but just identify that as you go on. Remodeling and renovation. We don't have any sort of standalone builder's risk policies, anything like that. It's okay if they're doing some remodeling. Chances are, though, we want them to be still in operation, like they're changing certain aspects of it, but they're running, or it's a brief shutdown because they have to fix a thing. So minor stuff, right? We would ask that you let us know what that reason is, but it's not an automatic declination either. This is the cash only establishment one that we talked about. This will be an automatic declination. If they are cash only, we won't write it. Number of employees, we can write a significant amount of employees. So just put whatever it is that's there. Again, these are all just kind of rating questions to help us get a better understanding of what it is. Even if the establishment is brand new, we will write new ventures. What we ask is that the management has at least 3 years of experience, but brand new venture, not a problem. It's kind of similar to that, lapse in coverage. We're still willing to look at it. And then here you can see that's the question that pops up if it's within, a new open establishment. Okay, maximum occupancy, et cetera. You get all of this stuff. All right, so move on to the next one. We can do annual sales. We can do up to 10 mil. So pretty significant size restaurants. And again, that's per location, if you recall, since we can only write one location per policy, right? So please select your general liability. We can do up to 1, 2 in-house. 2, 4, we refer up to Accelerant, which is our paper. And if I didn't explain it already, I apologize, but we're structured as an MGA. Many of you probably already know this. So we do all of the stuff in-house. We've created the programs. We file it with the state. Basically, we work just like an insurance company, with the one exception of we do not write, it's not our paper that we write on. So we don't keep the reserve for the policies. That's Accelerant. They're AM best rated, A- excellent. And we got all the paperwork. You can get online and look them up yourself if you like as well. But they're a very well-standing, well-known carrier that's been around for quite some time and is highly rated by the AM Best. All right, so we can do up to 2-4 though. We do ask that you send us some information about whether or not the insured previously had 2-4 or what the reason is that they need 2-4, because that will help us in our referral up to Accelerant. Okay, again, these are just some standard questions. Off-premises catering, I'm not going to spend time on it. Stop me if you have any questions though. Do they serve alcohol?
Jason?
Do you want to add? Yep.
I need to stop you for that one. We have a
Hey.
question from Sarah. If we have a restaurant that might participate in special events off premises, can the event be endorsed to the policy?
Let me double check on that. I do not believe we do I know we don't do event policies. So I don't believe that we can endorse the specific events. Let me follow up with you on that one. If you don't mind sharing, we'll share our email addresses and shoot me an email afterward. Let me see if we can figure some more specifics out about that. I apologize for not having an answer for you live, but we'll share our email addresses. Shoot me something afterward, and I'll get you an answer. But we don't do individual event policies, so that may answer your question well enough. Okay, so
And
then on.
sorry, since we're already paused, I have one more question for you. Might be another one that we need to follow up on, but we had a question for a new business. What is the time allowed from the date the policy was issued for them to be officially opened if they're doing minor remodeling?
Yeah, let me double check on that. I'm fairly certain it's 90 days, but don't hold my feet to the fire like, hey, Jason told us it's 90. It's somewhere thereabouts. But yeah, we'll share the email follow up with me and I'll get you a solid answer. But I think it's somewhere about 90 days or less than that. I think that's the most. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Liquor liability. This is one of Rainbow's very strong selling points. I would say it's only second to the fact that we pride ourselves on our service that we provide you and our flexibility, our ability to look at risks that, might not necessarily perfectly fit the appetite, apply credits, all of those wonderful things. We can also write up to 65% liquor liability, right? Which is huge. You're going to be hard pressed to find that in any other admitted markets. So that's very exciting news. Obviously, we still need to differentiate between a restaurant and a bar, which is some of the other stuff that we talked about. So chances are, your things that hit that level of liquor are probably going to be very fine dining establishments with extremely high price alcohol, that kind of stuff. But it is an option, and we would love for you to reach out to us if you have a risk that fits that. Up to 65% is a big selling point. You can select your liquor liability limits here within that. Hired and non-owned. This is standard admitted market stuff. We just ask that your insured not be the one who does the delivery, right? We don't allow Uber. I'm sorry, we do allow Uber. We do not allow robotic delivery. We don't want your insured to be the one doing the delivery, but we can offer HNOA. Third-party delivery is okay. Again, just as long as it's not the insured. So if you check that Uber Eats DoorDash box, that's not a problem. No robotic delivery though. So this was not a thing that I was aware of existed outside of airports. I'd seen it in airports several times. I'm told that it's quite hilarious if you look up videos. I haven't done that myself yet, but there's a reason that we don't offer it apparently. So, okay. All right. What is the construction type for this establishment? We can write frame. That's not an issue. Obviously it will affect the rating. But just get in here and select what it is that's accurate. This is where you're going to see most of the time that underwriters are working back and forth with you and might have some suggestions, because we get on the website, we look at pictures, and we see like, okay, well, you've marked this as masonry non-combustible, so MNC, but we actually think this is joisted masonry, right? So you'll see some back and forth on that. That's probably the one that we get the most back and forth, but we can write frame, so it's not an issue. All right, year when the building was built. This kind of factors into the question that was asked earlier. We can write older buildings. It just may trigger a referral. Roof type, fire sprinkler system, all of these things are just rating type questions. Some of them will trigger a referral, but they should not be a decline. There are things that we ask you to chat with us about. You can add building coverage. But we can also do, this obviously applies only to Indiana, my subsidence. But if you don't add building coverage, you also get an opportunity to add tenants and improvements and betterments, which is likely what it is that many of the restaurants are going to be doing to begin with. So you still have that option for coverage if you're not covering the building itself. All right, pretty standard stuff, ordinance and law, all other perils, AOP, wind hail. The one thing to note about wind hail is whatever it is set as to begin with, it cannot be lower than that. We're working on some messaging. It's one of the recommendations into our tech team to help improve the UI experience for you as an agent, is to kind of pop that message along the bottom, tell you what it was originally set to in case you change it or whatever. But if I was to go through and select no separate deductible, it wouldn't let me move on to the next screen because it automatically set this location to be 1%. We use some data vendors to gather data from the outside to help supplement the underwriting process. And this is one of those things that it factors into. So whatever it is preset to is the baseline. You can always increase the deductible if you choose to, and that will have a bearing, in most cases anyway, on the end premium. But you can't ever select less without it giving you a decline. And it will tell you it's because you've set your wind hail too low. All right. All of this again is just rating factor stuff. So we'll go on. Optional coverages. Okay, so this is really great. This is another way in which we stand out. We have this Premier package, which, that's not a standout. Everybody's got, some version of that within their, most MGAs or carriers do. But the package itself does some really interesting things with it. All of these that you see are customizable. You can either customize them once you've added the Premier, or you can leave it on the primary and still customize them. So you can almost look at them as standalone in that sense of you can adjust the limits of what it is that you need for employee dishonesty, for instance. If 1,000, if you want to keep the primary, but you want to have 10,000 on it, you don't have to take the whole Premier. You can just increase that customizable limit. And you can see that's on a good number of them, signage, spoilage, all kinds of things. So definitely worth checking out. In a lot of cases, you're going to want your insured to have the Premier because it's going to be better coverage for them in their restaurant. All right, wine collection limits. You're seeing where it is that it allows you to include it. Cyber and Epley, we offer those through Hartford Steam Boiler, right? So very reputable coverage. It comes through there. And then we also offer equipment breakdown coverage through Mutual Boiler Re. So again, very great, well-known coverage out there in the industry that you can add on for your insured here within our system. All right. Additional interest, additional insureds, add blankets. We don't charge for them, right? You've got the option to add individuals if you want to. Might as well put the blanket on for your insured though, because at this time there is no charge for it. If that changes, we'll let you know, but I've not heard any talk of any plans for that to change. But it exists there for you to add individuals as well if you like. Boom. This is the fun screen that, excuse the cough, I'm recovering from something. This is a fun screen that Morgan mentioned earlier where we have tons of discounts. Another great selling feature for working with Rainbow is that if your restaurant is a member of an association, if they have a Google business profile, are they part of a franchise? All kinds of different reasons that we will apply credits. And even if the answer is yes to all those, no to all of those, or somewhere in between, would you like to select additional credits? You've got all kinds of additional options here, and you can always refer the submission to underwriting for additional pricing considerations, and then type the reason in the box. Oftentimes what we like you to do that will really save us a lot of back and forth is if you let us know what your target premium is. So let us know what it is that you're aiming at, the reasons why it is, but this is your opportunity when you originally submit the quote to get all of that into the underwriter. Again, you got tons of ways to reach out to us. The underwriter will get back to you. You'll have direct communications with them. However, this is a great way to get it started. Forgive me. Okay. All right, policy effective date. Obviously, this is set to the future. I'm going to go ahead and bump this out again so that next time I demo, I don't have an issue. But we can do backdating to some slight extent. You just got to reach out to us and let us know the reason for it. And we'll usually look for like, standard stuff like, no loss letters, that kind of thing. All right. Choose payment plan. This is another huge selling point of Rainbow, right? So we've got the typical stuff that you're used to, pay monthly, pay in full. There's a discount for pay in full, 5%. So that's obviously great as well. Pay as you go is something that, to my knowledge, is not offered anywhere else in the industry on BOP policies, right? So what you're used to seeing that in is probably work comp, where it's regularly being audited and adjusted based on what payroll actually is. Well, in this case, with restaurants, as you all know, they fluctuate based on the season, right? So this is an opportunity for your restaurant to only have to pay premiums associated to a month-by-month sales. And what's really great about that is a lot of the newer POS systems, the point of sale systems in restaurants, actually have built-in functionality to just automatically send revenue or sales to email addresses that are listed within. The primary one being Toast, which is becoming more and more adopted amongst all restaurants, but many other POSs have it too. So then you would get in, you would set it to underwriting at Rainbow Insurance, or I'm sorry, underwriting at userainbow.com. And it would automatically send that. And then the rating each month would be based off of what their sales are instead of having that flat rating. So that helps with the audit at the end. That helps them save money on some of their down months. There's a lot of really great features for this that restaurant owners absolutely love. So definitely stand out there that you'll want to advertise to your insureds. All right, so we'll select monthly and move on to the next one. Another opportunity for discounts, because again, we love applying those, is here is the Rainbow Rewards, right? So you're seeing what the annual premium is. Since I selected monthly, you're seeing the monthly here as well. This is a breakdown of everything. You can obviously go back and change payment plans, edit applications, all that stuff if you need to. I'm not going to go through all this because we just did it. But what's really cool to highlight on this screen is this Rainbow Rewards program. So when you apply this savings, it shows you, actually, I should go back to the screen. It shows you you'll save an additional $1,000 by using this. What this is that we just ask you to send in 5 pictures from the insured so that we know that they've got good cleaning practices. It helps us feel more comfortable with the practices of the insured, and they get this massive discount because of it. Now, not all of them are going to have hood and vent systems, for instance. Like if it's just, a deli that serves cold meats or whatever, you're not going to necessarily have a hood and vent on that. And if that's the case, it will still require you to upload a photo, but just upload a photo of something else and it's fine. Explain that that's not a reason to kick us out. It'll just make you put that in. What's cool about this also is if you as the agent do not have the photos, you can share this quote with the insured. And not only can they upload them from their own, wherever they open that up at in their email, they can upload those photos themselves, but they can actually put the payment information in there too. So you don't have to collect it and it can go straight to them. But that is everything for the quote process. Let me show you, actually, let me take a quick second to
Hey,
show
Jason,
you. Yeah, please.
before we do that, I've got a couple questions for you.
Great.
Sarah asked, what is the audit process for the end of the policy period?
So we do conduct audits. We will reach out to you and the insured. I'm assuming that's more of the question is, do we do audits? Not what is the audit process? It's a standard of what it is that you would see across most people. We will reach out and we'll collect sales revenue from the insured in order to audit.
And then we have another question. In printing out an estimate, do you have an option to print out just the coverage pages only?
As in this quote PDF, you would want just, let me actually make this a bigger screen for you. We will save this into downloads. Actually, I think I already have one here, so give me just a moment.
And then I'll address another question that I think I answered correctly, but just in case you happen to know off the top of your head. Sarah asked, I'm in California. Do we have a location restriction for high wildfire risk? And I said that we do have location restrictions for high wildfire risk. When you put in the address of the business on the first page of the quote screen, it should be an automatic decline for an ineligible location. And that would go for any ineligible location, not just in California. And I, what I'm not sure about, and I said, I don't believe that we have specific zip codes or counties that applies to, but I'll confirm. So I didn't know if you happen to know off the top of your head if we do provide any sort of guidance in terms of zip code, or if you would have to just put in the address in the quote flow to check.
Yes, you would have to put in the address in the quote flow. That is correct. So we don't have any sort of like offline, can you put this in and double check? You can always reach out to us and ask, but since it is a data vendor, that's not something that we have on hand in-house. It's part of the quote flow. So you are accurate with that answer, Morgan.
I love when I am accurate in my answers.
Yeah, sorry. It's a weird way to phrase that. Morgan, you're right. That's what I'm trying to say.
I also love being right. And then we have one further question for the audit, and I believe the answer is yes, but Sarah had a follow-up question. At the audit, if the sales come back lower than estimated, will we refund the premium?
Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. Okay, So yes, this will be saved as a PDF. I don't know why my computer's messing up. I just printed one yesterday. There's nothing wrong with it. It works fine. It's probably because I'm in the demo environment, like I mentioned at the beginning. But yeah, you can, if you've got any sort of PDF editor, you can edit this to show your insured whatever portion of it is that you want. But these are very robust quotes, right? So there is a lot of stuff here within it that you can trim out, only show the insured what it is that you want, but it kind of goes over everything that's included within the policy. So sorry, I don't have that on a bigger screen. For whatever reason, it was giving me a bit of a difficult, but hop in, create a quote, and you can see it for yourself. Any other questions for the moment, or can I jump into like some of our website stuff?
Go ahead. No
Okay,
question.
cool. I'm basically done, y'all. And we'll open it up for questions to the field. But what I wanted to show you, you've seen both of these, the coverage, the agent resources. Our website, there may be some of you who have not yet signed up with us. I just wanted to show you, you can reach out to us, you can reach out to me, we'll share our contact information, but it's also simple to go in here to For Agents and get appointed and fill this out, and it'll come directly to me, and I'll usually have you set up and ready to go, or I'll have questions back to you within 24 hours. That's great, yeah. I see that poll just popped up. Then the other thing that I wanted to show you is that oh, here it is. We are rapidly expanding. A lot of you are probably here because we just opened several new states and you're joining us from one of those. Clearly, we have many more that are on the horizon here just within the next few months. We're slated to open Colorado and New Mexico within the next month or two. Many of them along the East Coast as well. The fact that, we're opening Florida is obviously going to be huge for the restaurant industry down there too. So we will be planning to move into the rest of the states as well. We just haven't, the reason they're not blue yet is that we haven't necessarily filed for them yet. So these filings we're just going back and forth with the DOI. If you have any questions about this, please reach out and let us know, but we keep this regularly updated and we're really excited that we're constantly expanding states. So I just wanted to point that out that exists as a resource here on our website as well. Morgan, is there anything else you wanted me to share while I'm still on screen?
I don't believe so. I mean, if you want to show just like the blog, that's something that's also updated regularly by myself, but it has a lot of great, pat myself in the back, great articles that you can share with your clients, or just, keep to have on hand if you get a question from folks. Lots of information for restaurant owners, for agents like yourselves, how to improve, certain things about your own individual businesses. For restaurants, what, like, just information more about, insurance, like what questions to ask or what to look for, or how to make their business practices even more, risk mitigating, and just general updates. So definitely recommend checking that out. And also feel free to give us a follow on LinkedIn, because we're always posting those blogs as well. And you can always just like reshare them or tag us or anything. And we love to see what you think.
I'll pat you on the back, Morgan. Morgan does a phenomenal job with this stuff, y'all. As a matter of fact, we get a lot of feedback from the field about like, hey, what is it that you would like to, what is it, could you create these resources for us? And that's part of where the SEO handy stuff came from. There's all kinds of stuff that Morgan regularly makes based off of what we hear from our agents. And we would love for you to keep that coming, because that's why we're here. We're here to take care of you all who are taking care of the insureds, of your insureds, right? So help us support you. Let us know what it is that you need, and we'll get it in front of you. Okay, have you shared contact information? I can hop in and grab that really quick if you have it.
I have not shared that yet. We've got a couple questions as well that came in.
Fire away.
Do we have a paper application that can be used for the information gathering process? We do not, I believe. But you could, I suppose, always like take screenshots or print out the pages on the screen. I can also take that question as like a content recommendation and see if there's something that we can put together. I can work with our underwriters and see if there's something that you could hand out to insureds if you need a paper application, and they could, fill out most important information, but you know, I'd say what we offer is oftentimes a different version of like the Accords. So I would say in general, that sort of information that you would normally want if you were using an Accord paper application is very similar to what we're going to ask, except way more fun and better colors and shorter, very much shorter. um, but Sarah, I'll take that. I'll take that as a suggestion. So thank you for that. And then we had another question: when issuing a policy, will the applicant be sent the application to e-sign?
So no. And no in a couple of different ways, right? So you and the insured will get an email that gives you logins to the portal. The insured has a portal to log into that basically just allows them to download the policy. You will be able to do the same. So if you want to just download it and send it to the insured, they can skip the whole login process, bypass that. But it will not be sent as a hard copy, nor will we require e-signatures. We have determined that it's not necessary for us to have those, and that's not the first time. I've worked in a couple of other insurtechs before that's the case as well. But keep them on your end for your own E&O records. And in order to facilitate that, as a matter of fact, on the last page of the quote, which I wish that I had gotten working for you all, is a signature page. So you can have the insured sign off and keep that for your records on the quote as well, that they agree to it. But no, we don't require that you submit that at all.
And then we have a question that's kind of broad, and I feel like you've done a great job of answering it so far, Jason, but maybe like the elevator pitch version of it.
Yeah.
But an anonymous attendee, so I can't, look them up to see what state they're coming from or whatever, but they asked, how competitive is your program? So I don't know if maybe you want to give a very brief summary of our.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Morgan. And you already alluded to the fact that, like, obviously state by state basis is an issue, but we're going to have our ways in which we stand out and ways in which we're not. Like, the entire point of the program is that we are coming to you in a competitive sense for the risks that we want to write. So I get calls every single day that say, like, hey, your price is a little high, or you're the cheapest price that I've got in the market. Obviously, that's going to depend on who you have access to, what the state is, all of the different rating factors that go into, are you comparing two quotes exactly to one another? So to answer your question, we do not sell based off of the cheapest policy possible, but we are oftentimes cheap within the market, the cheapest option within the market. The reason that we are top selling is because of our service to you and your insureds, and because of the policies that we write. We are dedicated to restaurants, and we have robust coverage for them with all kinds of ways that they can adjust based on what they need and not have to overpay, simply because we're set up with the pay as you go. We've got those specialized coverages that they can choose. Hey, I want this because my restaurant needs it versus I don't. And you can affect all those customizable ones. So really the tools are there with you to make this one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest policies that you can write for your insured amongst all the competitors, especially with all of those discounts. We ask that you reach out to us for the credits. We are happy to apply all that and work with you to get it down to it. But our model is not to sell by price. Our model is to sell by quality and service. Oftentimes, though, yeah, I mean, we can get down there and compete with the best of them.
And then we had another question. I can answer this one. How, if anything, can we add murals or fine art to the application? It sounds like we've got maybe like an artist in here. If I don't know if you mean like digital art, or if you yourself want to paint or draw or otherwise add to the application. If you do that, please take a picture of it and send it to us because I want to see that. That would be amazing. But I'm assuming you just mean like logos or other embellishments.
I think, Morgan, what this is actually referring to is, yes, there you go. Explanations in the chat.
Oh, I got so excited. I thought that we had someone that was gonna.
It's because you're an artist. That's why. That's where your head goes. So no, we don't have any fine art coverage currently to answer that question. It's for the most part, it's going to be covered under BPP, right? If it is some sort of like specialized thing, one of a kind, you're not going to want to place it with a standard market anyway. You're going to want to go to a specialized fine art coverage. And that's not something that we necessarily offer. But most artwork that's going to be installed in restaurants is going to fit BPP. So if you have a question, reach out to us, let us know. And we can give you specific guidance, but you know, murals, obviously that would be tenant improvement and betterments if they're painted directly on the wall, like those kind of things. Yeah, reach out to us. We'll have a chat. But fine art, generally, you're going to want to place that with somebody specialized in fine art anyway.
And to answer the question I thought you were asking, if anyone else has this question, if you, Jason showed the resources page earlier. And so if you do want to add your logo, like co-brand anything, if you go to that resources page, there are a bunch of those PDFs that you can download that have an option to add your logo. And of course, like, you know, if one of the things that we have as a resource does not have that option, you're more than welcome to download that and add it in yourself. Yeah, and again, reach out if you have any suggestions on things you would like to see that you're not seeing in the resources tab or elsewhere.
Yeah, we'd love to make them for you. All right. Does that wrap up for us?
Yeah, I would say I'm just gonna add two last things if you don't mind, Jason.
Of course.
We do have a couple of incentives / promotions running right now. So it is a bit state dependent, but I will include a link to our incentives and promotions tab. We have almost monthly promos going on. So, you know, we always want to make sure that, you know, we're showing our appreciation to you all for all the hard work that you do. So right now we have for certain states, we have a promotion running where it'll kind of build on itself. So once you've written your second policy within the period of the incentive, you'll be eligible for $50, a $50 gift card. And then with your third and fourth policy bound within that same period, you'll be eligible for an additional $100 e-gift card and then an additional $150 e-gift card, as well as some rainbow swag. So check that out. And we also offer a referral program. So if you've got some agent friends in your area that work for different companies and you think they would be a good fit for Rainbow, you can refer them. And once they quote their first policy, you will each get a $100 gift card. So again, I will include those links in our follow-up emails, but yeah, lots of opportunity to get a little something extra for yourselves. That's all I got, Jason. So
awesome. Thank you all for sticking it out with us. An hour is a little while, and I know that you're super busy. It means a lot that you came and saw this. We're here for you. Anything that you need, reach out to us, and we will be happy to help you out. Thank you as well, Jay, and everyone else that's out there. I can't wait to get started working with you. It's yeah, it's truly a pleasure. So see you all soon.
see ya.